Okay, here's another example. I just wanted to give a couple examples of this. So again, we're talking about a quadratic, and that's in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. And in this case, my a is 2, right? My b is -13, and my c is +6. Again, emphasizing that the variable does not get included in my ABC. It's just simply the coefficients. All right, so in the first case, I'm going to take A times C, and that equals 2 times 6, which is going to be +12, right? So then I need to find two factors, two numbers, right, that multiply to +12 and add up to, in this case, B, or -13. Right, so I'm going to use my x here, and I'm going to say I have 12. They need to multiply to 12, and then they need to add up to -13. Right. So again, if I'm thinking of two numbers that multiply out to a positive, so remember, if I have the signs have to be the same. So a positive times a positive equals a positive, and then a negative times a negative also equals a positive, right? When I multiply out. And if you notice, they have to add up to something negative, so that tells me that both of my factors must be negative. So these are kind of hints that you can use to help identify what those factors are, or at least the signs of the factors. And I think, oh, hey, look, 12 and 13, 12 and 1, right? So if I multiply 12 and 1 together, I get +12, right? Try 1 and 12. So um, if I multiply those two together, but I said that, they have to add up to something negative. So I could try -1, -12. And sure enough, right, -1 times -12 equals a +12. So that works. And -1 plus a -12 equals a -13. And that works. So remember, both criteria must be satisfied. So my two factors are -1 and -12, right? All right, so let's keep going. So I found my two factors. So now I'm going to expand into four terms. Whoops. So I'm going to expand the quadratic into four terms. So I'm going to rewrite it as 2y squared. And instead of -13y, I'm going to have -1y and then -12y, right, plus 6. So now I'm going to group, right, because I see four terms. So if I do that, I can take a look. I have -2y squared minus 1y minus 12y plus 6. So here's my first group, and here's my second group. I can factor out a y in my first group, right? So I have y, and I have 2y minus 1. And remember when I said I have a minus here, right? Because I have a minus, I'm going to factor out that minus. And between 12 and 6, I'm going to factor out a 6, right? So I have a -6. And then because I factored out a minus, remember I have to change that sign, right? So if it's a positive, I have to change that to a negative. So that leaves me with 2y. If I factor out a -6, I'm left with 2y for my first term, and I'm left with a negative -1 in the second group, right? So let's see if I can't do that, right? So I'm going to change that positive to a negative. And that works out really well because I have now, if you notice, right, my binomials are the same. So I can factor out a 2y, well, a 2y minus 1. And then in my next set of parentheses, right, I see a y and a minus 6. So I have a y minus 6. So my factored form is 2y minus 1 times the quantity y minus 6.